The Korean communication technique that reduces child disobedience caused by miscommunication. By the end of this video, you will understand why so many moments of child disobedience are not really about defiance, lack of discipline, or bad behavior. You will learn a simple Korean communication technique that helps children listen faster, cooperate more easily, and dramatically reduces daily power struggles. Many families who apply these steps report calmer routines, fewer repeated commands, and a noticeably more peaceful home. Most parents believe that child disobedience is a behavior problem. Others believe it is a discipline issue. Some assume that children disobey on purpose, testing limits or trying to gain control. But in many households, especially with toddlers and young children, disobedience is not a conscious decision to challenge authority. In reality, it is most often the result of a communication breakdown. In South Korea, many parents and early childhood educators approach this issue in a very different way. Before labeling a child as disobedient, they pause and ask a different question. Did the child truly understand what was being asked? And just as important, was the child calm enough, emotionally and mentally, to respond? This single shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of focusing on punishment, consequences, or repeated commands, the focus moves to communication clarity, emotional regulation, and brain readiness. When communication improves, cooperation often follows naturally. This video is not about permissive parenting. It is not about removing limits or letting children do whatever they want. It is about transforming instructions that create resistance into communication that creates cooperation. When children feel understood and mentally prepared, obedience stops being a constant struggle and starts becoming a natural response. Many situations that parents describe as disobedience are actually moments when the child's brain is overloaded. The child hears too many words, feels emotional pressure, or cannot yet turn language into action. What looks like ignoring is often delayed processing. In Korean early childhood settings, disobedience is rarely addressed first. Instead, communication is adjusted. Adults assume responsibility for making instructions clear, calm, and appropriate for the child's developmental stage. Picture this for a moment. A parent says, "Clean up your toys right now. I've told you this already. We don't have all day. Why do you never listen?" From the adult's perspective, the instruction feels clear and reasonable. But from the child's perspective, the brain receives a rush of words, urgency, and emotional intensity all at once. Young children do not process language the same way adults do. Their brains focus more on tone, facial expression, and emotional energy than on the exact words being used. When an adult speaks quickly or emotionally, the child's brain shifts into a defensive mode. In that state, cooperation becomes extremely difficult. In South Korea, many parents and teachers are trained to slow communication down before expecting compliance. They understand that before a child can obey, the child must first feel regulated, understood, and capable of responding. One of the biggest mistakes adults make is assuming that disobedience is always a deliberate choice. But for young children, the part of the brain that manages decisions, impulse control, and transitions is still under construction. Expecting immediate obedience without preparing the brain often leads to frustration on both sides. In Korean parenting culture, adults often separate refusal from inability. A child who cannot comply due to emotional overload or confusion is not treated the same as a child who is intentionally refusing. Most daily struggles fall into the first category. The core principle behind the Korean communication approach is simple. Before directing behavior, regulate the emotional and mental state. This is done through a clear structure that works with the child's brain, not against it. This structure has 3 key steps. And the order matters. The first step is emotional mirroring. Before giving an instruction, the adult reflects what the child is experiencing in that moment. This is not agreement. It is acknowledgement. Instead of starting with, "Stop playing and clean up," the adult might say, "You're really focused on that toy," or, "You don't want to stop right now." These words do not remove the limit. They simply show understanding. This moment of acknowledgement has a powerful effect on the child's nervous system. It signals safety. It tells the child, "You are seen." When children feel seen, their automatic resistance drops. Many parents worry that acknowledging emotions will reinforce unwanted behavior. In reality, it reduces the need for protest. When children feel understood, they no longer need to escalate to be heard. Here is what matters. Emotional mirroring does not replace the instruction. It prepares the brain so the instruction can actually work. The second step is what many parents skip without realizing it. This is the processing pause. After mirroring the child's emotional state, the adult stops talking completely. The pause usually lasts between 3 and 5 seconds. During this time, the adult does not repeat the instruction, add explanations, or negotiate. This silence is intentional and powerful. Young children need time to process language and settle emotions. Without a pause, instructions stack on top of each other, and the brain cannot organize what to do. In many households, silence feels uncomfortable. Adults rush to fill it with more words, louder voices, or consequences. This often escalates the situation instead of resolving it. In Korean early childhood environments, silence is used strategically. The pause allows the child's nervous system to calm and prepares the brain to receive the next instruction. This is the moment where many parents think their child is ignoring them. But the child is not ignoring. The child is processing. Now comes the step that changes everything. The third step is clear direction paired with limited choice. Once the child feels acknowledged and has had time to process, the adult gives a short, concrete instruction followed by 2 simple choices. For example, "It's time to clean up. Do you want to start with the blocks or the cars?" The child is not choosing whether to obey. The boundary remains firm. The child is choosing how to comply. This small sense of control dramatically reduces resistance. The child feels involved instead of forced. Power struggles lose their intensity because autonomy is respected within structure. This approach works because it matches how young brains function. Children cooperate more when they feel understood, calm, and included. Disobedience often fades when communication becomes clearer. It is important to understand what this method is not. It is not negotiation. It is not bribery. It is not endless explanation. In fact, it works because it uses fewer words, not more. Many parents believe that explaining more will help children understand better. For young children, too many words overload the brain. Simple language, calm tone, and emotional alignment are far more effective. Imagine another common situation. A child is watching a screen and does not want to turn it off. A typical response might involve repeated commands, frustration, or raised voices. Using the Korean communication approach, the adult might say, "You're really enjoying this show." Pause. Then, "It's time to turn it off. Do you want to press the button or should I?" The outcome is often very different. The child may still feel disappointed, but the transition happens with far less conflict. Cooperation replaces confrontation. Many parents are surprised by how quickly this method reduces what they once labeled as defiance. When the adult changes how they communicate, the child's behavior often changes immediately. Disobedience in early childhood is rarely about testing limits. More often, it is about confusion, emotional overload, or unclear expectations. When instructions overwhelm the brain, cooperation shuts down. In South Korean parenting culture, adults take responsibility for communication clarity. If a child does not comply, the adult adjusts the message rather than escalating control. This mindset shift is critical. Instead of asking, "Why won't my child listen?" the adult asks, "How can I say this in a way my child's brain can understand?" Over time, children raised with this approach develop stronger language skills, better emotional regulation, and greater cooperation. They learn how to move from emotion to action more smoothly. Parents benefit as well. They repeat themselves less, experience fewer power struggles, and feel more confident setting limits without punishment or yelling. This technique is especially effective for toddlers because their brains are still developing the internal control systems needed for obedience. Expecting adult-level compliance without adjusting communication is unrealistic. The Korean approach respects developmental limits while maintaining structure. It acknowledges emotions without giving up authority. It teaches children how to transition between activities without emotional overload. Consistency is essential. When parents use this approach regularly, children begin to recognize the pattern. They learn that their feelings will be acknowledged and that clear direction will follow. Over time, children internalize this structure. They become better at regulating themselves and responding to guidance without resistance. This is not a one-time fix. It is a communication habit. Like any habit, it takes practice. But many families notice positive changes very quickly. Homes become calmer. Transitions become smoother. The emotional tone of daily routines shifts. One of the most powerful outcomes of this approach is that obedience stops being the main goal. Cooperation becomes the focus. When children understand what is expected and feel emotionally supported, obedience becomes a natural result rather than a forced outcome. In the end, not all disobedience is defiance. Often, it is miscommunication. It is too many words, too much pressure, or too little processing time. When we change how we speak to children, we change how they respond. The Korean communication technique shows that when communication improves, conflict decreases. Children do not need stronger control. They need clearer communication. When we speak in a way their brains can process, cooperation follows. This approach does not remove limits. It strengthens them. It teaches children how to respond to guidance without fear or resistance. And that is why this simple Korean technique has become such a powerful tool for reducing disobedience in early childhood.